Hi there, it's Mark, and today in Nick Collection 9 we are taking a look at Analogue Effects and we're going to use it to age these pictures. These pictures? What pictures? This picture of Aga sitting on a wing of a chipmunk. That's what it is, a chipmunk. And we're going to do that. This picture of Chris, who's standing in front of said chipmunk when it was back in its hangar because it decided to pour down and we had thunder and lightning. And we're going to do that. And then we've got Helen, who was on the thumbnail of this video, and we're going to do that. And the reason all these guys were with me for a photo shoot was because the photo shoot was an aid of charity and we raised a lot of money for the Motor Neuron Disease Association, which we're all very pleased with. And I mention that because I've got a discount code for you. You can get 15% off DxO products, be it Nick Collection, Photolab, or whatever. And yes, I get a kickback from people using the discount code, and I'm encouraging everyone to use the discount code. Why? Because anything I get back from the discount codes also goes to the Motor Neuron Disease Association. That's my promise. And I'll put links and details to the shoot and things below. So these pictures on my website, ready for you to download, link down below. What else is there to tell you? No, that's it. I think we're ready to roll. So I'll play the titles. I'll see you very shortly. Okay, let's get cracking with this little lot. Our first picture is Aga sitting on the wing of a chipmunk aircraft, and let's load her into Analogue Effects. So I'm in Lightroom at the moment. So right click, edit in, Analogue Effects, and away we go. So here we are in Analogue Effects, and let's remind ourselves of the layout. On the right you have your working panels. The filters and presets that have been chosen will feature over here for you to change. On the left you've got said presets, and if you hover over one, it shows you on screen what that looks like full size. Only when you click on it does it take the component parts and position them on the right hand side of the screen for you to work with. What are the component parts? The component parts are the filters. All of these, because that is what a preset is. A preset is a collection of one or more filters applied to your picture and then tuned however you want. Let's just deploy one, shall we? Let's just pick that one. We did look at it, keepsake. And on the right hand side, look, lots of filters have popped in. Which ones? Well, you've got frames, you've got paper textures. It's easier just to come over to the left and see them. The ones with the little mark next to them are the ones that have been applied, and you can get rid of any just by taking them out with the minus sign, or come over here and remove them with the X. So presets are a collection of one or more filters. You don't need to use a preset, you can go straight in with filters. Or you can use a preset and then start to cherry pick the individual component parts, switching them on, switching them off, changing the various sliders that come with them. And presets are also a learning aid. So to get this look, if I didn't know where to start, I now know I can see the component parts. I can play with them and tune them if I want to. But it's teaching me how well these work and what combinations to produce this effect. And I know it's obvious to say so, but presets are just a starter for 10. You don't necessarily have to apply a preset and think job done, albeit you might actually apply a preset and think job done. It is giving you a good kickstart to the look and the feel that you see over here. And what I particularly like about presets in the Nick collection, and also I would say presets in Lightroom, is that you see what they do, not just visually. I'm not talking about what's on the screen. I'm talking about you see the panels, you see the slider changes, you see the individual nuances of each button effect and so on that has been crafted to create that preset, and you can then change that. That isn't the case in all editing software. So if we went into Photoshop and we looked at applying a LUT to a particular layer, yes, you can change its blend mode, but you can't get to see what else has actually happened. You can't then change that. Back in Lightroom as well, of course, if you apply a profile in Lightroom, the same thing occurs. It changes the look and feel of the picture, but it doesn't expose the individual sliders and buttons that went to create that look. So you either like it and adopt it, or you don't. But here, every single preset, which is the collection of one or more filters, has all of those filters exposed for you to play with. And that is a very good thing. So let's play with them. And because I actually like the look of this, I'm actually just going to reset it by reapplying it. And we're going to start and work with this one. So once it's finished loading all the various bits and bobs, I'm just going to come up to the basic adjustments and I'm going to add a bit more contrast into this picture. Something around there, and also brighten it a little bit. Bring a little bit of detail out. And I think I will change the tones on this a bit more sepia. So come down to film type and change from black and white neutral to black and white toned. Select something that's a little bit more the colour I was after, and I'm going to make it a little bit more strong. Do I want to make it stronger or less so? I think I'll leave it about there. Okay, so we've got 3 to get through. This first picture was more or less just saying, here's Nick Collection, here's Analogue Effects, this is the layout, and how quickly we can do an edit. Let's go and actually work on the other 2 pictures. So I will just apply this and save it back to Lightroom. And there's our picture. Moving on, we've got Chris, another friend of mine, also at the charity event, dressed as Captain America, and that's the chipmunk again. Let's load this into Analogue Effects. And away we go again. So with Chris's picture, I'd like to do some plate effects. Now I can click on the filter to bring them to the foreground and actually just have a quick look through them, holding my cursor over them. Lets me see what they look like on screen, and this could be my starter for 10. I think there was a wet plate 5 or 7 I think I liked. Actually, I'm going to start with that because I do like that sort of tonal look, but I'm going to change the actual wet plate itself. So I'll click, and as soon as I click, it will pull all the panels over on the right hand side. And right in the middle there, we have got the photo plates. So I'm going to change the photo plate from one of the corroded ones to one of the streaked ones. And let's get some bold streaks going in there. What about that one? Yes, I like that. I also like the vignette that has been put on this particular picture. So if I just switch it off and on just from the little toggle here, you'll see the effect of that vignette. And I like it. I'm going to change the amount quite a bit more, I think. Really darken it in. And I prefer that before and after. The whole picture before and after, of course, you can just do your compare box at the top. Before and after. Yeah, I like how that's coming on. I want to scratch it up a little bit more, I think. So let's go up to Dirt and Scratches and get rid of Dust and Fluff and bring in Scratches. And let's see which one we want. Let's go for this one, rather messy. Now that is kind of okay for me, but way too much. So I will bring it down in the opacity. There, I rather like that. And of course, with all of these, you can change the blend modes. Blend modes affect how any one filter is applied, mixed in, if you like, with the underlying image. And I've got a whole video on how blend modes actually work in Nick Collection, which I'll link to above now. But for now, with this particular picture, even though I've taken time to explain the actions, it has taken no time at all to get a decent, really aged, classic old photo look to this. So I'm just going to click apply, which brings us back into Lightroom. So let's load up the next picture, which is this one. This is Helen. Let's right click, edit in, Analogue Effects. Point to note on this one, we last clicked over here categories for photo plate, and it has preserved that. This is our very next edit in, so you do have to click on all Nick if you want them all back, or indeed if you're happy with photo plate, fine. But if you look at the filters, there's only a subset, and that might be a reason when you see filters and think where have they gone. It's because of the effective categories. So if we click all Nick, we'll get them back. Now I'm not actually going to use a preset to kick this one off, or this edit. We're just going to do hand cranking ourselves, and I'm going to start with some paper texture. So let's just click on the plus. Here's a paper texture. Interestingly, this uses multiplies blend mode. That will all become more apparent when you watch the video on Nick Collection blend modes that I pointed to earlier. But for now, the reason why I've come into paper textures is because I happen to know there is a vintage section. So within the vintage section, I'm going to click, I think this is the one I preferred, looking at it previously. And with all of the textures, it's probably easier to see if I choose, it's probably easier to see, Mark, what are you doing? It's probably easier to see if I go back to classic and put on a paper style, and you look at the size of the grain. If I now change the scaling, you can see how that is sliding up and down. So with all of them, you have a scale, is what I wanted to point out, and it was easier to see on classic. So let's go back to vintage, and you know what? I am going to choose this top left one and completely change what my thoughts on what it was. I'm now going to scale this down to see what I think about that, or up. I'm actually going to take this up because I like that, and it's too strong for me. So I'm going to bring the opacity down on this one to there, and I'm starting to get those tones in because of this look. But yes, I'm going to put a scratch on it as well, so dirt and scratches, except this time we're not actually going to use the scratches. I'm going to use eroded. I really want to mess this picture up, so I think I will come, let's try this one. Oh, far too complex, I think. No, I do want some holes, so I'm going to go there, and hopefully they won't be on her. They're not. Lovely, we'll keep that. I'll bring the opacity of those down a little bit. I am going to stick a lens vignette on as well. And let's have a look what we've got here. Oops, scroll too fast. So I'm going to, well, firstly I'm going to bring the wheel in a little bit to really dictate the border size on this, and I'm going to not have it quite as dark as its default when it first came in. And then finally, I think I'll just come up the top, and with the brightness, just bump the brightness of the picture up ever so slightly. Bring some of the saturation down. And add a bit of contrast. Do we want to pull out any more detail? Let's have a look, shall we? We bring the detail extractor up. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that as a dirty picture effect. Completely different to the same picture which I edited in a more sepia toned for the title slide for this video. So let's just apply that, shall we? And we are once again back in Lightroom. So let's have a quick recap of the changes we made. So we had Aga, and we produced this. We had Chris, and we did this. And we had Helen, and we did this. Notwithstanding the fact that we had Helen as this for our thumbnail for the video itself. I hope you found that useful, and if you found any value in it at all, please click on that like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Oh, and don't forget there's some discount codes in there, because you're not just helping me, you're helping the MNDA. Bye for now.